tag team champions. Haven't done that. But in terms of a lot of the other things I wanted to do, I'm very lucky because I've done all of them. Maybe I'll make another terrible dance song. I don't know. Maybe I will, do one of the other things. Next to me right now, we're sitting here doing this recording. Next to me, I've got a whole list of things that are my goals for this year. About 50% of those have been accomplished. Some I knew would never be accomplished. You have to have certain things on there that you can't accomplish probably.
Of course. Yeah.
And some other things that are like, maybe next year. But there are things I do want to accomplish, but in terms of like the highest level goals, I've already done them all. And that's why if somebody said to me, oh, you're not a success in pro wrestling, or you're not a successful person or whatever, that's just bullshit. Because quite literally the things that I dreamed of doing many, many years ago have been done. And I don't know a lot of people who set dreams that seem unrealistic like that and accomplish them. So by my standards and by most people's standards, I am a success.
I love that. And I love that you're able to bask in it a little bit. And I also love the fact that you are on the back end, like, okay, so I've checked these boxes already. Like, how do I move the goalpost now? Like, where do I move it to? And you then look down at the list that you've put down for yourself for this year. Yeah, a lot of people, if they hopefully will put down a list as to what they want to achieve in a calendar year. But then a lot of those things get moved to the next year, but do they get moved further down the list or they get moved higher up the list? That's the thing that you've got to really decide as someone that is wanting to really achieve goals and is wanting to check boxes that, sometimes you check boxes that you've never thought that you would even imagine was checking that you wanted on your list. Then after it happened, you're like, oh man, that was really cool. And that's a once in a lifetime situation that I'm a part of history and, I couldn't have written it myself.
And that's correct. There are so many elements of what I have accomplished in the world of professional wrestling that were things I would have never dreamed of. I come from this community that says that, you'll have a life beyond your wildest dreams. And what that means to me now is really different than what it meant to me, 20 years ago. Like 20 years ago, I thought that it was going to be, like me accomplishing these things that I had in mind at that point in my life. And what it's come to me now is that I get to accomplish things that literally the person I was 20 years ago couldn't even imagine being possible. It's stuff that is happening to me now that I'm accomplishing on an ongoing basis that 20 years ago my brain wasn't even big enough or open enough to let those ideas enter. And now I'm doing it. So it is truly a life beyond my wildest dreams. But I will say this, I love that I'm in a position where I can sit down and be clear-headed enough and have a track record of experience and success that allows me to say, well, if you've done all of these things, what is your next challenge? I'm a person who thrives on experiences. So quite often I will do things just to have the experience so that I can say I've done it. Excuse me. And then if it opens up in me something like a passion for something, then maybe I'll want to explore it more. Like some of the things that I really want to accomplish in NWA to this point, I came into the NWA and I was like, I would love an NWA magazine. I want to be able to marry my love for NWA and my love for magazines. And I started the NWA magazine and it's been great. It's online at nationalwrestlingalliance.com. I want to start working to produce backstage segments for NWA and do some creative things there. And I want to start to help direct where we go creatively. And if Billy and the Billies allow me that opportunity, I'm here to do it.
Billy Square.
And, and I've had some chance to work in that environment because I've helped produce 2 episodes of the 10 Pounds of Gold series in the past. And I proved to be successful in that arena too. So that's something that I didn't know I necessarily wanted to do, but it is exciting, and I'd like to continue trying to do more of that. So there are things that I want to do and things I want to try. And if I'm not good at them, the great thing is I can say I tried it and I have that experience. And if I am good at it, then I can maybe gung-ho move forward and try to do it more.
I love that. And you're already putting things in the universe that you want to be better at and you want to come back to you. And I think that's absolutely amazing. Also,
I think that's integral, and I think that people don't do enough of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that I am very big for manifestation. I'm big for speaking things into existence. Yeah. If you do not, my favorite book in the whole world is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and a Brazilian author. And one of the things in it says, when you want something badly enough, the entire universe conspires to make it happen for you. And I think that a big part of success is speaking it into existence. Not saying, oh, if this happens or maybe I'll do this. It's like, no, I am going to do this. It will happen, and I just have to figure out how to make that happen.
I love that so much. Is it in English or is it just Portuguese? Do you read Portuguese?
I do not read Portuguese. The book is in English. It's in every language. It's like it's a global bestseller. Okay.
Well, so speaking things into existence, I did, like I mentioned earlier, I have some local wrestling experience, and I worked as a backstage interview person. So in case you need anybody to produce for NWA Backstage, I am your guy. So I will travel anywhere, and I have a car. So just putting that out there.
Well, that's lovely. We love it.
Yeah, there you go. Now, there's so many things I want to get into with you, but like, again, you've given me so much of your time already, and I want to try to wrap it up for you because I know you probably have many other better things to do. First off, I have to ask, just because my girlfriend has gotten me into the Real Housewives situation, and there obviously is far too many different casts and seasons, and depending on where you go, you have actually a tie to the Housewives, and I have to ask about Countess Luann from the Housewives of New York. She's the OG of Housewives. My girlfriend's trying to get me to watch it from the beginning, and it's hard for me because I have a thing for New York accents. I'm not a fan. Also, it started in the 2010 or early 2000s where the way they used to film things is hard for me to watch now compared to how they do things now. So it's a bit difficult. But Luann has definitely been one of those OGs that have been there since the beginning and was there now. I imagine she'll come back later. She's obviously done some side show now. But you did shows with her. Can you please tell us some stories about Countess Luann?
Yeah, so first of all, I've never watched a single episode that I can recall of any of the Housewives.
Good for you. And
I have a friend who's, if I'm not mistaken, on one of the seasons right now. One of the girls I went to college with was and was acquainted with in college was on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Doing shows with Luann. I've got a lot of connections in various ways to those shows, and I just don't like adults who act like children, so I don't tend to watch.
I get it.
So there's that, but I would say in regards to Countess Luann, she is one of the more colorful characters, which has always made her stand out. And I opened for her. She was doing a music and storytelling show in San Francisco, and I opened for her, and she was actually on I had a float or I had a presence in the Pride Parade that year, and she was on that with me. It was an interesting experience, and it's my only time I've ever been mentioned in Us Weekly because it was a show. So, it was, I would say that people have varying degrees of experiences with Countess Luann. She was very nice to me, but she is a very big personality, and I would say that a lot of the perception of her may very well be true.
Oh, good to know.
Good and bad. I mean,
yeah. I mean, she still looks fantastic. And
oh, she's
no matter
beautiful.
what age. Yeah, she's absolutely
gorgeous.
fantastic.
She's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
She is definitely one that has aged better compared to other people that you couldn't even recognize.
And, you know, making it come full circle, talk about making bad dance music. She's done that too. So I applaud her for that as well.
I think almost everybody on Bravo at some point has made bad dance music, except
Well, yeah, Bravo is the channel for gay men. Bravo and Lifetime is for gay men. So if you've got success on Bravo and you don't release a bad dance song, what are you even doing with your life?
I mean, I was going to ask about Andy Cohen, but he's a deadhead, so, I mean, a different kind of music.
I've never met Andy Cohen, so I can't speak to Andy Cohen at all.
Okay.
So, but speaking of like things that are going to be on cable, I do want to give a plug for people who are interested in knowing a bit more about me and about the influence and additions of LGBTQ plus people in the world of professional wrestling. In about a month's time, there's a documentary called Out in the Ring that I'm heavily featured in that will be coming to Fuse Television. Fuse TV is going to be broadcasting Out in the Ring throughout the month of November. So people who want to know more about it, it's a documentary film that won many, many awards at the film festivals in the past couple of years, and it'll be on Fuse TV starting in November. That's a positive plug. That's something I would definitely plug and suggest people get a chance to see.
I think so too, and I think there needs to be even more openly, just open people in general when it comes to the world of pro wrestling, and I know it brings in even more fans. Like, obviously, you know, you go to a GCW show, you're going to get different fans than you do from an NWA show, or if you go to your local indie show, or even a WWE, AEW, whatever, you're going to get different fans in every single pro wrestling world because of the fact that pro wrestling is this, in a perfect world, it is a buffet. It literally has something for everybody, whether it be the hardcore, whether it be the drag, whether it be the catch-can wrestling, whether it be the over-the-top John Cena rocks, or whether it be, you know, the formulatic, whatever you imagine a pro wrestler to be, that's what's in the ring right now. Like, it needs to have literally everything. And, like, obviously the women as well, because we need more young women to grow up and, like, you know, aspire to be something bigger than just a mom or a wife or secretary.
And those are wonderful things. Those are wonderful things to aspire to. But
without a doubt, without a doubt.
I want to tell you one of my favorite memories from NWA. It was 2 years ago at NWA 74 in St. Louis, and it was the Taya Valkyrie Camille match for the NWA Women's World Title. And
fantastic
with NWA, the women always steal the shows. Always steal the shows. And during that specific match, it was night one of the show, when those women were going at it, it started out, you know, the fans were what you would expect. And by halfway through the match, the entire ringside area was crowded with young girls. Mm-hmm. Young girls from the audience who had pushed forward to the railing. And I would say that there was probably like a good group of 20 young, like, and I'm talking like maybe 5 to teenage years, pushed against the railing, watching that match in complete awe. And it made me so proud to be part of the NWA, which was putting on such a great show with 2 incredible women in the main event spot and putting on a killer match that was inspiring people of all ages, but very specifically these young women. And it was hilarious because I was watching it and I got real emotional, and Nick Aldis was still with us at the time, and Nick used to tease me unmercifully. And I was like, oh, my God, Nick, look at those young girls. And he goes, oh, don't start crying, Hallmark. And but it was hilarious. And, of course, Nick, with his dry British accent and his dry sense of humor, I was like, oh. But I was very proud of that moment. Very, very proud of that moment.
I mean, 2 absolutely fantastic athletes in the ring at one time. Like, it was going to be a classic no matter how it was.
Absolutely. And two of my favorite people in wrestling, by the way.
Yeah.
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 Love them.